They were getting shout outs in the Atlantic and these other places. Like, so because of these two releases, they got into talks with like distributors. It took a while, but eventually they settled on a deal with a distributor. They had a rep that would go to bookstores, that would push books to all bookstores, to all whatever. So they were kind of in a different place. And we were having this conversation about what that meant for In Defense of Ska, because they were going to want old books and stuff. And I was like thinking about it, and I was like, what if rather than like trying to push my old book, what if we presented it as a newly revised book, as a new book?
Yeah.
Like, would that hit with the distributors better? And they were like, yeah, it's a good idea. So that was the seed idea. But then after that, I was like, well, I don't want to just like revise the cover and like tack on a few bonus interviews. Like, I have been doing this podcast at that point for a year and a half. I don't know. I've already expanded my whole knowledge of ska. We've had on people that were in the book, and we've expanded on some of the actual stories that were in the book.
The conversation.
Just by having the same people come on. Yeah. And then just like, you're jumping off of like what I already know from the book. And then they're like, oh, they're adding these little like anecdotes and stories and stuff. And then there's people that weren't in the book, but like their stories overlap with a lot of what's said in the book. So I just kind of was like, oh man, there's so much. I already feel like I have so much more to add based off of this. And then there was also the third thing was that I did feel like there was some criticism that came from the book. Some of the criticism I got, I didn't feel like was valid. Some of it I felt like, okay, I could see their point. Like there was some people like in my opinion, the invalid criticism. I mean, whatever, you don't have, you could be critical, but like some people are like, oh, it's non-linear. It's like, he's jumping around. Like, I'm like, well, that's the book. Like, if you don't like the structure, that's the structure. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Have you ever read the Bible?
Yeah. But there was some criticism where I was like, okay, like, because I was so focused on defending the ska I grew up with, which was like Skank and Pickle and like early 90s ska punk. And also because there was such this weird tension between the skinhead trad scene and ska punk scene in the early 90s, I really focused a lot on that because I thought it was interesting. And some people came away feeling like, oh, this guy is dissing traditional ska. And that wasn't my intention, but I did definitely focus more on like the indefensible ska, the ska that everyone makes fun of, because that was the point. So I decided that I could definitely expand upon the trad ska scene of that era because it is important. And I did feel like maybe I left that out a bit. So I did definitely.
I mean, that's why I stopped playing ska. Was that weird?
Was because of
that weird rivalry?
Was that tension?
I wanted to write a bridge and a fucking tag and a hook and put them in a Rocksteady song, and that wasn't acceptable in the traditional scene. There was no way to grow. It was play your 3 chords for 3 minutes and write a song on top. And if you did something weird, you got meshed in with fucking the other ska, like that's why I stopped. Yeah. That legitimately was the reason. There was no way for me to feel comfortable at the time. And this is in 2010. Like that shit went on until the aughts,
Well, you got into the Brooklyn Rocksteady scene, which was probably even more, shall we say, high-minded than even the 90s trad ska scene. I just want to say, though, I agree with what you're saying, but I will say, though, that, and this is a little bit of the focus I had in some of the stuff I added, the trad ska scene did birth stuff that wasn't totally adherent to the sounding like a retro band. I mean, I would say all the best groups from that scene, Hepcat, the Slackers, Agrolites, they clearly were like took from that scene, but then they innovated above it. They just did it in a way that was different than third wave ska, like ska punk.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that actually some of the stuff that's held up the best, just because it's so interesting. And even like a band like the Frighteners, who were pretty adherent to that stuff and who, have refused to do this show because it has the word ska in it, I'm guessing. But I mean, they're really good, and their sound is unique and original. I don't think they sound like old recordings. I think that they've created a sound that's like melded with like adherence to tradition and sort of something new.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what's kind of cool and interesting about just like the ska punk scene. Like there's so much of it that's like it's derivative, right? But then the stuff that's interesting and different and takes a different, like their own elements to it, like that's the best stuff, and that's the stuff that's held up the best. Same with the trad ska scene, and even like I would say
which leads me to my next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why is Catbite so great? Why is Catbite so great?
Well, see, they initially seem like kind of like what I was saying about the Slackers, almost like they kind of come from that, but they do it in a unique, original way. But they've kind of gone beyond that. But again, I think that they incorporate elements that you don't commonly see mixed with ska.
Dude, especially on that new EP. It's fucking great.
Yeah, and the new EP. They're mixing a lot of pop elements, which I think...
A lot of pop. In the best way. Like not in...
No, it's really good because this doesn't sound like other ska bands.
And it still sounds like Catbite.
Yeah. There's not like the hardcore section and, you know, the double time. I mean, they're not playing into the cliches of the genre. It's totally unique. But they still they clearly understand ska and how to play ska. And I think that's why that's sort of like they exist in both territories. Like they may move away from ska on certain songs or whatever, but like they can play the groove. They understand what ska is.
They get it.
And I think that's the big complaint that like people that come from the trad ska scene. I think it's a valid complaint. I don't necessarily fully agree with it because I think of music a little differently. But if you're playing ska and you don't even understand what ska is, and you don't even understand, like if you're messing around with ska but you don't know like what the Scotalites did and why, I can understand the complaint. Like you should at least be coming from, like you should be fucking around with the formula.
So I should make a note to send to the bosses that I am HR after all, right?
Sure.
Yeah. But at the same time, if like some kids show up in a ska band, they don't know fucking shit about ska, but they listen to like Streetlight Manifesto and they play this crazy good music. Like who am I to start wagging my finger at them?
Yeah.
Like it's just music at the end of the day, and like people are influenced by whatever they're influenced by, and if they're influenced by Real Big Fish and Streetlight Manifesto, and they're playing this like fifth generation of ska, it doesn't matter. It's still like ska is at the heart of what they're doing.
You were just setting me up left and right. I love this. I love this.
In Defense of Ska will return in a moment.
With McValue at McDonald's, you don't just get deals on the drinks. You get deals on McDonald's drinks. So when you're breaking a sweat, embrace the chill without breaking the bank. And when your crew is running on empty, keep your wallet full while refreshing the squad.
Grab a cold drink at a hot price, like a refreshing Coke Zero or sweet tea in any size for only $1.49. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
So what's next, right? You have a new podcast that you're working on.
Well, no, I have.
I guess it's your wife. You're producing.
Well, so I've been doing a storytelling show here in Sacramento with my wife and my friend Keith. So it's like a monthly storytelling show where we have 4 like storytellers. You know, some of them are comedians, some of them are like from this sort of like moth storytelling scene. You know, it's just true personal stories. Like you should come do it sometime, Sammy.
I would love to
if you're ever in town. Yeah, I bet you have a good story. But it's called In a Nutshell, and we do it here at the Sophia Theater in Sacramento. And then we just started putting together a podcast. It's like we're taking the stories, like the stories are usually like 15 to 20 minutes. So we'll set it up, play the entire story, and then we'll do like an interview with the person about more on the story.
I love that.
I mean, some of the stories they're just so all over the place. Like, we recorded an episode with this woman who told the story about fostering squirrels. And it's like a bizarre story.
Can you give her my number? This is not what HR is supposed to be like.
Yeah. So
Adam, new tunes.